What's up, Moto Buddies? Mike here from Taco Moto Co. We have a 25 KTM 500 Excf that is done out about as trick and as personalized as any bike that you've ever seen. We are really willing to work with anybody and their dreams and their goals for setting up a motorcycle, including going all out. We have riders who want to make a statement. They want a motorcycle that is a signature piece. It's something that so closely personifies who they are and represents their style, their personality. And this is a bike that is an absolute slam dunk as far as that's concerned. Here is a machine that every single aspect of the looks, the performance, there's not one piece of this bike that wasn't thought through and modified in some way or considered. And like I said, we can do from mild to wild when it comes to bike builds. And so here's one that is absolutely wild. You're going to either love the graphics or you're going to hate them. Doesn't matter. This rider is out to make a statement, and he did it. So this is the concept of this machine, was to have something that is really an omni sport. We talk about this from time to time where we're looking to do bike builds that put in the hands of the rider a machine that is capable of anything that he wanted to throw at it. For example, here you have a bike that can do any of the BDRs or a TAT, go ride any trail of any length, with the exception of some extreme hard enduro. And then the other end of the spectrum would be like long highway pounding pavement. The bike is a little out of class when it comes to those two ends of the spectrum, but everything in between, it's right there. So if we look at this machine in depth, you'll see, as we go through it, the care and consideration that was paid to this bike. But just looking at it, you can tell how purpose-built it is. He's got the windscreen up there, ADV-style mirrors, the Moscow bags with the top bag as well, cush drive. There's just all of the things that make this an absolute, killer bike. So if we take a look up here at the front wheel, we'll start off with the Motaz Tractionator. This is the 9100 size, so it's the fatty. And then STR on the carbon fiber disc guard, and the wheels here are the Warp 9. So these are the elites, which means they're the extra strong, oversized nipples, oversized spokes. These are just the really hardy wheels that are absolutely durable and bulletproof. Unlike the OEM wheels where you see a lot of broken spokes and then spokes that loosen up, these Warp 9s, we seldom ever have any riders who put thousands of miles on their elite wheels come back to us and say they have any spoke issues, broken spokes, anything loose. It's just not a thing. We don't see it. So the durability speaks for itself as far as the wheel set goes. TM Design Works on the fork lug, and then we have these capture nuts here that are black and then anodized black, and then we put some branding on there. So that's our little special touch. The fork gaiters here, these are the X-Mud from Cherubies, and they keep mud off of the seals. And he went with E-line carbon fiber covers here for the lowers and the uppers as far as the fork goes. Notice that he's got this tower. Let's just go up here and talk about that. That's really the statement of this bike. He went with the graphics that wrapped around there. These graphics have a very cool sort of iridescent quality to them. These were done by Scrub Designs, and they worked with him to come up with a concept, a visual concept that's pretty stunning. You can't argue with the fact that this bike is screaming, "Look at me," makes a statement wherever it goes. A lot of people who have come over and taken a look at this bike have just, like I said, you either fall in love with it or it's not for you. Either which way, you have to look at it. Up here on the tower, he's got the GPS. So this is a Garmin. Is this the XT? Which model is this? I cannot see that. XT. Yeah, I know it's the XT, but I think it's the latest version of it. And so it's got all the extra tricks on it. And then there's a ram ball here, and then an arm, and then a Peak Designs. And this is a charged base, so the phone will charge without connection to a cable. XC gear for the Mako 360 has got stabilizer, and all of the cables are held here in a bracket by Speed. I don't know if they call it anything other than just Speed. Clean Speed, there we go. And then as far as the bar guards go, these are the Reflex Racing with carbon fiber P3 carbon fiber, super cool looking not heat shields, but hand shields. And then bulletproof on the levers, P3 on these carbon fiber master cylinder covers here. Both sides have that. That's pretty wicked awesome. And then here is a charge port, so cell phone charge port with a battery monitor. And you can see he's got the standard USB. We can configure these to whatever type of USB, whether it's C or the older gen version, we've got you covered. Now this button right here, this is pretty cool. So you turn this on and that activates the radiator lights. These are motor-minded lights. They come down here in this bracket. Those are S1, Baja Designs S1 lights. So those suckers just pierce they are absolutely fabulous. They put a ton of light low and wide. So when you're in low speed situations, you're gonna have really, really good ground lighting as you cruise along. And then on the tower here, inside of here, we have diode dynamics lights. And so we've got a low wide, and this is like a low fog light. So it is not DOT rated in this application. However, it is very street safe. It's very streetable. And then this is the super piercing high long throw light, and in high beam, both of these lights are on. And so if he's got all 4 of these lights on, it's absolutely a night burner. So cool. And the lights here are powered on without having the engine on, and that gives you the flexibility of having, like, I guess a big powered flashlight, a big bike powered flashlight. If you got a situation where you needed some auxiliary lighting and you just needed to press that button and get some light going, you can do that. Scott stabilizer, you saw that there. Let's see, we'll start out here at the end. So these are heated grips. These are Koso grips. Here's the master controller for that. That's a Tacomoto lighting package. So the tidy tail with the turn signals, front and rear, all LED. Get ECU system, fabulous. We've got traction control, quick shift, which is so fun on this bike. And then two maps, so Honey Badger race map on one, and then a hardcore enduro low traction map on 2. Notice here, this is a Recluse left-hand brake lever. So if you're in a really tight technical situation, you can pull that in and use the hand to finesse that rear brake instead of stabbing at it with your big foot. What else is going on that left side? I think that pretty well covers it. The Acherebee's tank, that's the 3.9. And then inside of here is the new Tacomoto double snorkel system. And you can see down here is the magnet to secure the sinker. On the left side, there's an identical one over on the right side. I don't think we're going to be able to see much of that. Nope, black tank, not great lighting, so you're not going to see that. Let's see, up here you see here's got a toe strap, some little Tacomoto branding on there. Now this tower here, this is the Yankro tower, and then Joe has partnered with us to really do some design improvements and make this thing super spec, super high spec. We just like working with him. And the graphics here, you can see how they wrap around. This is the first rider who's ever wanted to put some graphics on here. Mixed. Again, you're going to either love this thing, fall in love with it, or it's not your cup of tea. And either which way, like I said, you have to look at it. The real cool thing about this screen here is that it pops off. These little 4 rubber grommet anchor points. If you come into the screen, if you take a wreck, and that screen is going to pop off, and then it'll just push right back on. Look what I've done here. But you get the idea. It didn't take a whole lot of energy to get that off. Now, it'll never come off when you're cruising down the road. I've got a ton of miles on these in Baja and all other places. And I have intentionally steered into branches and bushes and cactus with the goal of trying to knock this off the bike, and I've never done it. I don't suppose that you'd have an easy time of doing it. Could it happen in some weird situation? Possibly, but I can't get it to pop off. But I have crashed, and in those 2 or 3 times, this thing has freed itself. It's flown off. It hasn't hurt me. It hasn't hurt itself. Didn't get scratched. It didn't crack or do any damage to it. So that's just a really cool way to get yourself a tower situation with minimal weight, and then with that built-in safety as far as that goes. So we relocated the key. Here's a turn signal indicator. That's all pulled up on there. And then down here on the bottom, you'll see that we've relocated the dash. We want the dash, the stock OEM Speedo signal unit to stay on the bike, because that's your check engine light and your engine run hours and your miles. So that is something that we believe you should keep with your bike. bulletproof on the brake lever over here, bulletproof on the throttle cable housing, and then this is a Tacomoto over-under start kill switch. We've got a Tacomoto feature piece here. This is a arm over that takes the mirror and clears your throttle tube, puts the ball way up here out of the way, so this isn't in a weird angle. And then on here is the double take mirrors with the new upgraded double take arms. So much better than the Rams, so much lighter double take mirrors. These are the coffin size, or I think they're called the adventure size. You typically see those on some of the bigger bikes, but as you see here, the smaller bikes get them as well. The suspension's been totally redone. This bike's been lowered 2 inches, and then it's been resprung for weight. That's all been handled. And then I don't know that there's anything else really going on. There's a lot going on the cockpit, but that's probably covers everything up here. If you go down and start looking at the engine, you'll see we've got the Samco hoses, and that's a nice upgrade for just reliability and durability. And then we have the heat shield that goes over the top of the exhaust manifold. P3 Racing. Now you see there's a lot of P3, so there's a theme going on here. This rider loves carbon fiber. I don't see why anyone wouldn't. And if you look here, we've got it on the mud flap, the swing arm protector, here's the frame guard, and then the heat shield. So an absolute beautiful suite. It's stunning in person to look at this, especially in the daytime when the sunlight is going across the little bands here, the weave of the carbon fiber. They do a great job laying this out. Molecule skid plate, bulletproof designs on the brake lever here, and then these are the air extends from Promoto Billet. They are the ankle saver style foot pegs. Recluse 4.0, CX 4.0, buttery smooth power engagement. This is just a go-to clutch for so many riders. Tacomoto on the oil filter cap. And I'm just trying to look around and see if there's anything else interesting. We've got an X-trig here on the rear shock, and then the shock's been redone and resprung as well. We've got a bracket here that mates into the steg pegs that provides the cleat for the bag strap here on the Moscow bags, and that's all integrated all together. And steg pegs are a really cool thing if you do a lot of long distance riding, and if you have any leg or ankle issues as you get older. Not uncommon to see a lot of vet riders running steg pegs, so that's a pretty common thing. Taking a look back here on the rear wheel, so again, another Warp 9. Now this is a cush drive hub, so that cush drive is going to provide driveline shock absorption, and that will make the bike smoother. It dampens sound, so the bike will be just a little quieter as far as rear end sound goes. We get longer chain life, longer sprocket life, longer driveline life. There's just a lot of advantages to having that. The only penalty really is a little weight and then some cost. But if those aren't a concern, then that's a solid wheel set. So the back tire here is a 130 size Motaz Tractionator. This is the IT. Up front is the ST. And you see here's another one of those black anodized Tacomoto. This is the nut. This is the rear wheel nut. And then STR on this rear brake guard here. You can see that's also got a caliper carrier, and everything that can be anodized is black, just trying to tie up all the look of everything. Graves muffler, this is the ultra quiet version, so that's the quiet core, and then that comes in black. Now the quiet core you can get in silver, blue, or black. Obviously black is the theme here, and then this is the Moscow, and then we had that powder coated for the look of it. Back here on the rear end, you see we've got the Tacomoto Tidy Tail. That's turn, brake, and run all in one housing, and then an Enduro plate. So if you fall over, the plate will flex and bend and won't snap off or break or bend your plate. The Moscow bag is held here by this little guy called the Noblin, and you can see how that's drilled through, and then there's a big fender washer that goes underneath here, and that's really secure. We've seen so many riders load these up and run so many miles, and I have yet to hear of a failure or any issue with this configuration. It's really bulletproof and solid, and there's a lot of people putting a lot of weight and a lot of miles on those, and they just hold up and do really well. Dirt Tricks, this is the Ironman rear sprocket, and black with black bolts as well. This is a Warp 9, the titanium bolt, inner bolt for the rim lock. Just a great, chunky, grabby, super aggressive rim lock setup. And then there's mousse in these wheels, and you'll see here that he's got the gold chain, the DID. chain. Just for looks, man. You know, there's a lot of stuff on here that just is tying up the aesthetics of this bike, and why not? Motorcycles are toys. These riders, me included, a lot of us are children, big children, and we are playing with our toys and having a good time with them. So why not express yourself and do the things that make you happy? And that's what's happening here. Swift kicker on this kickstand. Now, there is a strong advantage with this if you have a lowered bike. You can change the length of that. So there are times where I will run larger rear tires if I'm going to do Baja 130 or 140 size rear tire, and that changes the ride height of the bike. So then you need a longer kickstand. And then in this instance, we have a lowered bike. So you can adjust the height of that with this little lever cleat right there. So just a really cool upgrade as far as kickstand goes. Dirt tricks on the dome washer here. And then this is the slave cylinder for the Recluse. Here is the Tacomoto wiring harness kit that we've added to this bike. And here's the SAE cord for your tender. Tacomoto on the oil filter here. Golan on this fuel filter. Horn has been relocated right here. And then we talked about the cleat and how it mounts up to the steg pegs. So when it's time to change the air filter and to check that, you're just going to take this bolt here loose, and then this thing will swivel forward. You'll need to loosen this bolt to release the tension on the bracket here. Remove that. That takes, I don't know, you probably have this whole thing off in 3 or 4 or 5 minutes. You'll need to loosen this as well. So you just loosen this stuff, swing this forward, and then you have access to the air filter. And inside of the air filter housing, we have a P3 Racing base gasket, the filter skin, and that's all pre-oiled. And then we have the relay harness and fuse block for the Tacomoto harness. And that electrical system gives the rider the power taps out here. So he can have, behind the mask here, he's got constant hot power and then a switched hot power for running the heated grips and GPS and phone, and all that powered accessory stuff is happening up there behind the headlight. Underneath the seat, the Get ECU system, anti-gravity 8-cell battery that's been upgraded, and all those electrical power taps for that system like we talked about. That's probably it. You know, you could spend hours just looking at this bike. Everywhere you look is just this little feast of special things that have been done in special ways to give this bike an absolute flair and performance. You just can't believe how cool this thing is in person. And so if you see this bike out on the trail, if you see this rider, give him a high five, let him know that you think he's got a cool machine. I think it's one of the most unique ones we've done in a long time, if not ever. And it was a great, we get a kick out of working with these owners because we just get an insight into who they are and what they're about. And the style that they put into these things is really fun. We like to see this expression. This bike, like all our bikes, came in new. We broke it in on the dyno. We have before and after power numbers. This bike is putting out 59 and a half or so horsepower at the wheel. That's typically what we get on these 500s. And that's on our dyno here in Las Vegas. That's a Dynojet dyno that is purchased from Dynojet, serviced by Dynojet. And Dusty takes care of that for us. He's a former Dynojet tech. And so we trust it implicitly. And so we're getting great results with our tunes, with the performance. The 2 maps are just stunning. They're so highly regarded. It's been fun to see the market acceptance of that product. So these bikes get broken in. They leave with a first oil change already done. So this bike has its Motul 7100 engine oil in here. And so he can now go out. The day he gets his bike, he can fill up his bags and head out on the trail. He can go out for, with this oil filter and the air filter configuration we talked about, I have no problem. And we have done lots of oil testing, and we have so many customers out there and so many riders who are getting 60 to 70 hours on an oil change when they ride a high-spec oil like Motul 7100 or Maxima Pro Plus 4. That's like a Group 5 PAO ester oil, ultra-high-spec oil, ultra-high air filtration. We, like I talked about, that PC Racing gasket and the filter skin, and then our oil filter. All of that together, it really combines into a package for ultra long oil life. The other thing I would say is you're not racing. You're not banging through the gears. You're not banging off the rev limiter. You are a dual sport rider in dual sport conditions, general all-around riding. That's when you get that type of oil service life. So that's a wrap. What a fun project. What a fun build. This bike is going back to its owner, and I'm excited to get pictures. It's been fun over the years to see pictures from the builds, from the riders who are out there enjoying these machines. And we should probably post them more. I should probably make like a photo album of all of these. So if you have any questions about this bike or any bike that we've done, or if you want us to build you a bike, we can do it here at our Vegas shop, or we can send you all of this stuff in a box, and you can build it on your own at your own house. So we're just willing to work with you with whatever it is that you want to do as far as setting up your dream bike. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Go out, get some adventure.